So good morning and welcome to my flat in Strasbourg, France. Today I want to tell you about the ABC of Pilates. That stands for alignment, for breathing and for core. And just to say hello as well, we have my helper here, Elle, the dog, who will be joining with some of the exercises. So today we just want to go through the basics of Pilates to really get them firmly ingrained into your minds. So when we talk about alignment, we talk about the body's position in terms of standing or lying down. So today our focus will be on how we stand properly. So first things first, make sure that your feet are hip distance apart. So to assess that, if you just take your fist, you pop it between your ankles and your knees, and stand up straight. And then you can see that you have a hip distance apart your legs. Another way of doing it is to just have them together and then walk them out like this, and that will be hip distance apart. So what I want you to do now is just to rock back and forth, toe to heel, toe to heel, toe to heel. You'll notice I'm not wearing socks. You can wear thin socks, but don't wear trainers for Pilates because you won't have that good contact with the ground beneath you, and contact is really important. Okay, and now we're just going to rock from side to side. So you'll see that I'm standing straight. I have my hips facing forwards, and so I have two little car headlights here on my hips, and I'm really looking forwards. My chin is in parallel to the ground, and it's as though I have a piece of string on my head pulling me nice and tall. Now my knees are soft, rather than straight, they're soft. And on top of that, you want to make sure that your shoulders are a long way from your ears, so you're not like this. So if you've had a stressful time, shake out those arms and really try and get them relaxed compared to having them uptight next to your ears. Okay. Now in Pilates, we'll talk a lot about pelvic tilts. What is a pelvic tilt? So to try and imagine how to do a pelvic tilt, imagine you have in this pelvic area here, a clock face in front of you. And sometimes the clock face has its hands pointing to midnight, and sometimes the hands are pointing down to 6 in the morning. So if I turn to my side now, you'll see that in a normal standing position, I have a slight curve in my back here. And that's a natural curve. So depending on your physiognomy, you'll have more of a pronounced curve or less of a pronounced curve. And that's absolutely fine. Now what matters is identifying how to really have the perfect neutral position. To identify that, we're going to do what's known as a posterior tilt. So we pop our fingers on our hips. We think about that clock, and its hands now are pointing to midnight. By pointing to midnight, you'll see that I've lifted up the pelvic area, as though the hands are pointing to midnight, and then you'll see that my back now has less of a curve. By having less of a curve, what we've done is we've done like an imprinting. So our back is straight. If I were to do this lying down on the floor, you'd actually be able to really imprint your back against the ground rather than having a curve. I'm going to do the opposite. So imagine now there's a clock face in front of you and you're pointing to 6 in the morning. You're going to tilt the opposite direction. Now when you do that, you can see I have an exaggerated curve here in my back. So that's called an anterior pelvic tilt. So do have a go. Pop your hands here on the hip bone and just lift up and do the posterior pelvic tilt. Then back again to the anterior pelvic tilt. Do a few of these. It might feel kind of weird at first, but you get used to it the more you practice. And this is really helpful because between the anterior tilt with a big curve and the posterior tilt, where you don't have so much of a curve at all, you can find your neutral spine, which is midway between the two. So let's face the front again. And with the alignment, as I mentioned, your chin should be parallel to the ground. And it's as though you have a piece of string on your head pulling you up to the ceiling, so really pulling you tall. So you're trying to be the tallest version of yourself you can be, and really stand tall and relaxed with your body weight evenly distributed across your toes. So that's the basics of your alignment, with the pelvic tilt enabling you to identify perfectly your neutral spine. So after we've done alignment, the next most important factor in Pilates is how you breathe. Now, as Joseph Pilates said, when do we breathe? Well, we start breathing when we're first born, and then when we finish, when when we're about to die, that's what the last thing we do is actually breathing. So breathing is something that's a constant in our lives. So that's really important to remember how important breathing is. In Pilates, don't ever think that you can't breathe. It's not like yoga where sometimes you have to hold your breath a little bit. You're really breathing the whole time in Pilates, and that's what matters the most. So how do you breathe? The first thing is you want to breathe in through your nose like this. Mouth closed. Now when you exhale, you're going to breathe out as though you're breathing into a straw. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Great. The next thing to know is that sometimes when we're a little bit stressed or nervous, we have a tendency to breathe just into the neck area. So we're not getting really the air into our lungs. And that will be kind of a tensed out, your shoulders are lifted, you're breathing in here. So you're not actually filling up your lungs as you need to with oxygen. In yoga, sometimes you'll find that you're going to breathe right all the way down to your tummies and really blow them out like a big balloon. And in Pilates, we're stopping here at this level. So we're getting all of the oxygen into our lungs. We're trying to make the lungs area as big as possible, as strong as possible. So pop your hands on your rib cage. Do a nice big inhale through the nose. And on the exhale, so you're blowing through a straw. We'll try that again. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And what you'll notice when you do this is that, like an accordion, you're going wider and then thinner around the ribs. So let's try that one more time. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Great. Now we've done the A, alignment, B, breathing, which leaves us with C, which refers to your core strength. So one of the great things about Pilates is it really activates your core strength. Now by core strength, we're referring to two things. We're referring to your abdominal core strength and the core strength of your pelvic floor muscles. So how do we identify abdominal core strength? The big picture to use throughout this will be, imagine you have a huge belt around your whole of your waist. And that's really your transverse abdominis. And you're activating those muscles. So you want to think about really activating those muscles. How do you do it? So when you breathe in Pilates, you're relaxed. But when you exhale, you're activating your core muscles. So let's try and do an exercise to activate your core abdominal muscles to start with. So what I want you to do is, as you breathe in, visualize a pair of jeans 2 sizes too small. As you exhale, imagine you've squeezed into those jeans 2 sizes too small. Imagine how that feels on your belly button and on your waist, really squeezing in hard. So inhale through the nose, exhale, those jeans are 2 sizes too small. And that would represent 100% core engagement, which is basically too much, because that would be really a big pressure on your waist every time we do exercising. We're going to reduce that this time. So we're going to try and identify 50% core engagement. So for 50% core engagement, this time we're going to pull out of our closet those skinny tight jeans that are 1 size too small. So let's get them here, they're next to us in our mind's eye. Now we're going to have a nice big deep breath in through the nose. And on the exhale, we're in those skinny jeans 1 size too small. The waist is going to the back and your whole of your waist is really pulling in. So belly button to back, waist all tighten in those 1 size too small jeans. Now that would represent 50% core engagement. And again, that's a little bit too much for what we need in Pilates. Our aim is going to be 20 to 25% core engagement. So this time, I want you to really imagine just a really tight belt that's maybe, you know, 1 little buttonhole too small for you. So think about that one. It's not 2 sizes too small, just a little bit too tight. For men, you can also think about a cummerbund going around you, wrapped around your waist. So breathe in through the nose. And on the exhale, you've got that tight belt on here. And that should represent 25% core abdominal engagement. If we were only to activate these muscles and do the exercises, you're already at risk of putting too much pressure on your pelvic floor muscles, because this becomes like a block And then this area here isn't protected whatsoever. It's sort of not tense, it's not strong. So we have to really activate the pelvic floor muscles as well. So how do we do that? So first of all, a really simple image. Imagine you're trying to stop yourself from doing a wee and a poo at the same time. So you're really tensing front and the back muscles here, lower down, really tensing them up. So what I want you to do now is breathe in through the nose, and on the exhale, imagine you're lifting those muscles up. Now, the image I'm going to use now is, imagine we have like a little house down here, and it's got lots of floors. It goes up to 10 floors in the whole of the house. Now, essentially, we need to be aiming for 25% pelvic floor muscles engagement, okay? Like with the abdominal area here. So in order to imagine that, and now I want you to imagine that this little building here, with its lift, is going to go up on the exhale to the 10th floor. So breathe in through the nose, and on the exhale, lifting up your pelvic floor muscles up to the 10th floor. Now that will be really, I can't see this, of course, it's happening on the inside, but it will be really a big pull on the inside, really feeling uncomfortable, really tensing muscles at the front and the back. Now, I want you to imagine that we're going to go on the exhale, not the inhale, on the exhale, to the 5th floor, and that will be 50% engagement. So breathe in through the nose, exhale through the mouth as though you're blowing into a straw, and lifting up the pelvic floor muscles to the 5th floor. And finally, what we want to be doing in Pilates is that 20 to 25% engagement of the pelvic floor muscles. So for this one, imagine you have a lift going to the 2nd or the 3rd floor here. We're going to breathe in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. We're going to have a nice lift, just gently. Okay. Now, just to finish off, we're going to combine the abdominal core engagement and the pelvic floor engagement. So do a nice big deep breath in through your nose. And on the exhale, we've got the corset on, or the big belt, and we're lifting up our pelvic floor muscles. Try that one more time. Might feel a bit weird, but you get used to it when you practice Pilates regularly. So breathing in through the nose, a nice big exhale through the mouth, activating those core muscles here to make you nice and strong. So you've learned the ABC of Pilates. That's awesome. And I want you to remember this now going forward in all of the exercises that we'll do, whether it's sit-ups, whether it's leg exercises, whatever we're doing, I'll always be giving you indications about how to breathe. And I'll always be talking about core engagement. And so now you know exactly what core engagement means. Okay, have a great day. Bye.